This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 57-inch.
On this week's episode, we interview comedy musician Mike Phirman, known for being one half of comedy music duo Hard and Phirm with Chris Hardwick, and for being a lifelong Weird Al fan with many cool connections to Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hey, birthday boy, how was your birthday?
Hey, it was great, Dave. Thanks for asking.
So did our listeners come through and send you any birthday wishes or birthday death threats?
Actually, yes, to both.
Really? I'm not surprised about the death threat, but I am a little surprised that they did send you birthday wishes.
Right? So, you know our friend Chris Sear from Canada who does all those great drawings. Well, on my birthday, he sent me a really cool drawing he did. Special birthday drawing. And in it, he incorporated a couple different Weird Al song references. And he challenged me to find all the references, which... Come on, Dave. Took me like 2 seconds. I'm the master here. But it's a really great drawing, and he did hint to me that maybe one was coming for you, but maybe not until your birthday. So we'll have to watch out for that. But I will post that over on the group so people can also guess and see if they can get 5 out of 5 like I did.
Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to my birthday now this year. I get a great drawing from our listener, Chris Sear. Plus, I'm also looking forward to seeing this drawing that Chris sent to you so I can play along and see if I can get a perfect score.
Yeah, you'll probably get a couple of them.
Cool.
I do want to give a shout out to fans. They texted me or messaged me or left voicemails on the Spatula hotline. And I want to give an extra special shout out to our fan Matthew, who not only left multiple messages, he emailed Frank, and in one of his voice messages, he played the entirety of Al's happy birthday song.
Oh, perfect. Excellent, excellent work, Matthew.
So, Matthew, we want to thank you for all the enthusiasm. So have your parents email frank@2000inch.com so we can send some stickers over to you to say thank you.
That's so awesome. I know you got a lot of messages on the Spatula hotline, and they were all really positive, except for that one death threat. But they were all very positive. So I'm glad you had a happy birthday. Did you get any Weird Al-related gifts by any chance?
I did. Kate, my girlfriend, made a really cool Weird Al shirt for me. Custom design. It has Al and all the band members' names on it in the perfect order, which was Al, Bermuda, Jim, Steve, Ruben. I think you'd agree that Ruben has to be last, even if it's not alphabetical. Because he's the new guy.
That's the perfect spot for him. He's always got to be last on the list. Yeah, right, because he is the new guy. That's the only reason. Oh, we love Ruben. We love you, Ruben.
But that doesn't change the fact that he's the new guy.
And on Saturday, the day after your birthday, a brand new episode of a podcast dropped. No, it was not our podcast, but we were on it. So for the past year and a half or so, our listener Spencer Parks, he's been embarking on this very ambitious project. He set up a podcast where he reads the dictionary a little bit at a time, and he invited both Ethan and myself to be guests on his podcast last week. We're on episode number 480, where he reads from Billbug to Billion. And Ethan, wasn't that a blast?
It was. I had no idea what to expect because literally his podcast is him reading word for word a page of the dictionary each episode. But we found our way to weasel ourselves in there, and we talked about the words. We tried to make Al connections to the words. It was a lot of fun.
We tried as much as we could to put a Weird Al spin on this episode of his podcast. And he's a big Weird Al fan too, so you want to tune in and listen to us and him talk about billbugs, billiards, billfolds, billidoos, billion, tons of words that start with B. It's available on iTunes, and you can follow them at Dictionary Pod on Twitter to be linked to the episode.
Yeah, and it was so much fun. This was the second time, Dave, you and I were on another podcast. So, hey, reach out to frank@2000inch.com or find us at 2000inch on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or you guys probably are Facebook friends with us by now. Just ask us. We would love to do your podcast, even if you're just reading the encyclopedia.
You don't even have to be reading from a book and we will do your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. We're used to people reading from a book, but yeah, we are flexible. We can make it work.
You know, I was really hoping when he told us we were going to be doing a page in the dictionary that started with the letter B that we would get the word burrito. But you know what? Billbug, billion, billiards, billfold. That's almost as good as burritos, right?
This week's episode is brought to you in part by vegan Mexican restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla Burrito. Come on down to Burrito and your Burrito. Find them at burritosquare.com and at Burrito Squared on Instagram. And remember, not every burrito is a burrito, but every burrito can be burritoed.
And every billbug can be billbugged.
That's right, Dave. And if you have a bill bug collection that numbers in the billions, you may want to get that insured.
This week's episode brought to you in part by the Don Ferlazzo Allstate Agency in Clifton Park, New York. If you drive like crazy or about to buy you a condo, Don Ferlazzo and his team can help you with crazy good auto, home, and renter's insurance. Plus, the Ferlazzo Agency can protect your billions of bill bugs.
You may think your insurance is good enough for now, but don't wait one more minute. Find the Ferlazzo Allstate on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call 518-278-3543 for a free quote today. The Ferlazzo Agency. We sell insurance, and that's all.
Very excited for this week's guest. Not only has this week's guest been a contributor to the Weird Al Star Fund, he has performed with Al on many, many projects, and he's also our second guest in a row to be named Mike.
We are thrilled to welcome to the program someone who has worked with Al in so many different ways, on music, on TV, on live appearances, and he himself is an amazingly talented comedy musician. We're so excited to welcome Mike Phirman. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Great.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
All right.
I didn't say I would. What?
So, Mike, we've known each other for like 10 or 11 years.
It's true.
I used to do this radio show in Albany, and you were a guest a bunch of times.
You were. I've always. I thanked you in my CD liner notes.
You did.
You're one of the. I did because you're one of the You're really dude, send me anything. I will play it. You've been a really supportive dude. So I absolutely. I am at your service forever. So 2060. Around 2060, I might start to forget what's going on. Yeah. Then we can meet all over again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, you'd be like, all you have to do is be like, hey, are you the guy that did the Chicken Monkey Duck song? And I'll be like, oh, a fan. If I remember that song. Yeah.
It's only 3 words.
Yeah. Those will be my last words. Actually, you know what? I was thinking about, speaking of 3 words and last words, I was thinking that it'd be fun to do would be have your tombstone. I want to put on my tombstone name, date, and whatever, and then the little quote, the inspirational quote, just say, "Wait for it." Just see if people just gather around.
So we've known each other for a while, but I believe
That's right.
You and Dave were in the same room at the very least. I don't know if you guys met, but there is some history between the two of you as well.
Dave Rossi
Yeah, Dave Rossi.
and me.
And you, yeah.
What'd we do?
So Mike, back in 2006, when you were with Hard and Phirm, you guys joined us for a Weird Al benefit concert to get Al a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Of course. No, I do remember that, of course. And you are the guy, you are very instrumental in getting him that star, correct?
Yep, I was very involved in getting Al the star from the very beginning, and we're very thrilled that you were able to come out and help us out at that benefit show. That was back in 2006. It was at the Mint in LA, and there was a handful of performers, and what I remember is this is the first time I had ever heard of your band Hard and Phirm, and the first time I was ever exposed to you and Chris Hardwick, and I remembered that I loved your set. I still remember when you guys did El Corazon.
Nice.
That was probably the highlight of that show for me. That was so much fun to watch you guys do that song.
Thanks, man.
And then, of course, I remember you guys also did Pi. I'm a big math nerd. I love that.
Nice.
I'm so jealous I wasn't there. This sounds like so much fun.
It was a ton of fun. And then you guys also did a cover version of Al's One More Minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the That might be my favorite Weird Al song.
Really?
I do just because like it really feels like it just hit everything and it hit at the right time. So not only do I think it's a great funny song and a good it's just a lot of elements that all come together. Plus, I heard that song at just the right time in my life where it like feels like familial and So yeah, so that's. I have tried I also love Hardware Store, and I've been trying to memorize we got digital heaters, toilet seats, electric heaters, vacuum fan, juice extractor, water meters, and it's so fast. But I'd love to someday do like a slow, like a ballad version, like of that section. Even
I would love that.
Just, yeah. If there ever is another thing like that where it's like an Al related thing, I would love to do that.
Well, you got an open invitation to come on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast and perform that anytime you want.
Nice. Thanks, man. It's funny. I so wanted to be at the Star unveiling, and I had the one time I've ever done jury duty.
Oh no!
I almost always get out of it. I mean, like I always do. I always call in. I mean, I don't I don't hide, but I do the thing. I call down and they say like, nope, nothing today. Call tomorrow. Nope, nothing today. Call tomorrow. And then you have satisfied your blah blah blah. And the one time, the next day was Al's Star, and they're like, "Come on in." And, actually, they don't say it like that. It'd be funny if they did say it like that. No, yeah. And so I felt so bad to not be at such a cool thing. But have you seen the video of him and Lin-Manuel finding out together that they're getting stars?
Oh, that was amazing. That was so awesome. That they were both so happened to be together in the same spot and both find out they were both getting stars the same year. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So
cool. I love it.
Well, we definitely missed you at the star ceremony. Hopefully you were put on a very interesting case.
I was put on a interesting case that got dismissed. So it was for nothing, but I did get to, but I actually did make it into a jury box.
Whoa.
And then I got to see up close, like I actually, if it wasn't for missing the star thing, I actually do think the idea of going to jury duty is interesting. Like I'm not like, oh God, like it seems responsible for one. Like I trust that I'm a valuable member of society and I think I would, oh no, let's think this through, people. Like I think I would be helpful. Not that I'm like sending home 11 people being like, I got this, but I think I think I could help. But this was about a guy who, and I think I'm allowed to talk about it because it didn't even become a thing. A guy who was accused. I can't say he was a guy who was accused of stealing boxes from neighbors in his apartment complex. So in front of their doors or down from the main room or whatever. So this guy might have stolen stuff from apartment, neighbors. So the thing is, they go around and they ask you things like, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to be impartial to this? Right? Like, is there anything in your history where, like, obviously if it's something that's like a beating or something traumatic, that could be very triggering and traumatizing and you would not be able to be impartial. But, and by the way, there was one lady who sobbed, like got herself, and I say, I'm a very trusting person that if you're going to cry in front of me, I'm almost positive you mean it. Like I feel bad for anybody, but this was like, really? Over stealing boxes? She's like, I just can't. I had something stolen from me one time, and I was like, from a what? So yeah, that, and she got out, and you could hear like everybody's hair blew to the side from all the eye rolling. Like, it was so much. Everybody was like, geez, really? But so they got to the point. The one thing that made it worth it was they got to the point where they asked me. They came around, what do you do? I said, I do entertainment. I do music. And they said, is there anybody in your family who's in law enforcement, anything that we should know about that would, that would influence how you would receive this information and judge this case? And I said, And they said, anybody who's ever been associated with law in your family. And I said, well, my wife wrote Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2, and there was a police dog in it. So I guess if there's a police dog involved, I might think like, yeah, they probably did a good job. So, that was worth it. That felt
Totally worth it.
But yeah, I was sad not to be the star thing. But I did get the opportunity to tell Al that I would have been there and was sad to miss it.
Did you get a chance to go actually visit the Star since then?
I have not seen Star since then. I haven't been down to Hollywood in quite some time. But actually, probably now's a good time because probably a lot of parking.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is it in front of?
It is directly across the street from the Chinese Theater.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's 6914 Hollywood Boulevard if you need an exact address.
6914. It'd be funny if I was like, what's it in front of? You're like, oh, it's behind the... Oh.
It's actually pretty close to the Hooters, so if you're going there anyway.
There you go. Wow. Do you know who's on either side? Like, did you have any influence as to, where it could be and who would be next to and that kind of thing?
The final decision was up to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, but Al's manager, Jay Levy, he did push for it to be in that one spot, and he was able to convince them to get it close to the Chinese Theater.
That's great.
I think we ended up getting a great spot. It's really a high-profile spot.
Yeah,
and
that's
I know that
really-
a lot of people are going to love it. I know a lot of people when they visit it are going to see Al's name on the sidewalk.
Nice.
Yeah, you got to check it out. It's great.
Yeah, I definitely got to check it out.
So I wanted to ask you about your album that came out in 2010. It's a fantastic album called The Very Last Songs I Will Ever Record, Part 1. And there's many things I want to mention about this album.
Okay.
And I guess the first one is there's this song Street Meat on it. And someone in the background sounds very familiar.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you can shed any light.
That is my... when we had our first son, that is his babysitter. Her name is Danielle Kaplowitz. She's a really great singer. And she's the... Oh, Weird Al's on it too. But anyway, Danielle... No, actually, Danielle is awesome. Yeah, you know what? That was a, obviously life-defining moment where I was at like a party or something. I have a hard time with the word party. I don't. No, I'm trying to remember. I was at like some kind of event, and Weird Al was there, and I like, all right, you just got to do it. You just got to ask. And I was like, hey, I'm curious. Is there any way that if I had a song, would you want to be like a voice in it? Because I have a thing in mind or whatever that, would be, here's the idea. It's about a guy who's being told by his doctor that he can't eat, meat anymore and he has to eat healthy or whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll send it to you then. And the idea is like, nah, I'm good. I believe you. I'm like, oh my God. Wow. All right, cool. Thanks, Al. So he like was down for it and just, I did end up just like out of, you should have the song ahead of time. And because I'd recorded just about everything up to that point, so that he'd have, a map of what it's going to be. And sent it to him, and then he like came to my house, and because my studio is in the garage, it's a converted garage into a studio, unless you work for the city, in which case it's my shop. No, it doesn't have running water, so it's not a living space. It's still within the rules, right? But he walked in, and I met him a couple times already, and he's you guys know he is the nicest person. He's exactly who you wish he would be, and he's can't say enough good things about him. So he walks in, and he's also my hero. So he walks into my house. I'm like, hey, how's it going, huh? Hey. So and at that time, my firstborn son was his. That was the deal. He asked only for one thing. No, he asked for nothing. But my firstborn son was in the little bouncy thing, right? He's got like this little thing that occupies him, and you stand and bounce, and Al shows up. Milo, who's the name of the boy, is bouncing in the thing, and I go, "Oh, hey, that's Milo. That's my son Milo over here." And Al runs over, being Al, being very friendly, not afraid of kids, runs over and goes like, "Hey, buddy!" Like right up to his face. And I'm like, in slow motion, I'm like, "Yeah, how awesome! I can't give you a better gift." And Milo, in slow motion, goes, and I go, "No!" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Oh, no, that's fine." But I'm like, "Mike, what are you doing? You can't be." But kids, you never know. You never know with kids. Side note, kids get scared at the weirdest things when they're really little. Like now it's kind of predictable. Like if you put on Saw, they're probably going to get freaked out a little bit. But as kids, I would show them things that I was like, they're probably going to get really freaked out by this. And they'd be like, nothing. I'd be like, oh. And then we watch like Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh is got to be rated G. I can't imagine Winnie the Pooh is anything other than, right? And then like Rabbit would come on. Like Rabbit, who's like in a hurry, right? That's it. He's in a hurry. That's his thing. And freaked out. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So type A's. Don't go for type A's. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, he came back here and recorded the song. And one thing which was, I wanted to do a thing. I'd heard about it from Al, that Dr. Demento had a thing where when you go to his place, he would greet you at the door and smash a record over your head. Like that was the you are now welcome into the house kind of thing, right? So, and I had gone to Al's place with Chris early on, as our like kind of early, like just get to know each other. And he said, "Oh yeah, so I've got." He told me that, and then said like, "So I've got a thing where you do a lap on my Segway." And we're like, "Oh, that's fun, nice." Well, I've never ridden a Segway, so we're like cruising around. We do one lap around his place in a Segway. And then, so I was like, I won't have a thing. I wish I had a thing. I gotta have a thing. So a little bit before this, but not much. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a thing where if you record at my place, you do one take in a lobster bib. One of your takes has to be in a lobster bib, just in case you're taking it too seriously. And you got to be reminded, like, abandon hip all ye who enter here. So, he did. I was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, is there any way you would do one take in a lobster bib?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." I swear this is, I'm not, it's not just you. I'm asking other people. But then eventually, I will say that eventually I did some recordings that involved a lot of people coming real fast in and out for some comedy Bang Bang stuff. And at one point I was like, I just can't. I can't ask like Kevin Nealon and Sarah Silverman and like, and all these, like there are a few people here who I'm like, oh my God, whoa, wow, man. And I just chickened out and was like, all right, I guess maybe it's just like the big personal ones, So he did one on the lobster bit. But so he recorded everything and was such a champ. And was so cool about everything. And he's, as you know, got phenomenal talent as a singer. Like he doesn't get, he's not thought of necessarily as, that being his main, first talent. But man, he definitely can sing. And I didn't tune anything. And he did like 20 takes of anything. And, wow. Yeah, because it was like there was a map, but there was also like some just play with it, try this inflection, try that inflection, and he is again exactly who you would hope would show up and be like do 10 takes of something and you're like, wow, those are all great. Those are all amazing. And he's like, hey, you want to do some more? I'm like, I mean, if you want to, but I feel like we have. And he's like, let's just do some more because it's fun. I'm like, okay, yeah, dude, yeah, let's just do more because you singing my song is fun for you. Okay, that's insane. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, he's got like it's the work ethic, it's the talent, it's the pipes. So, yeah, the only thing what we could not do was at the end, I couldn't get him to leave. No, no.
And here he is.
He's still there?
He's still here, you guys. That's why I'm saying so many nice things. But no, the only thing we couldn't do was I was not, and this was part of the agreement, was because of his contract, I could not put featuring Weird Al on the name of the song. So at no point can I like promote that it's starring, like maybe it's starring Weird Al. I mean, he's the voice of the meat that is tempting the dude, So, which is ironic because he is vegetarian.
Right.
Right.
But so I had to leave that. So in the little thank yous, it says, the special thanks to Weird Al. I almost thought about writing hint, hint or something like that and being like, and I actually almost thought, I almost did this. And again, it's one of those things where I don't want to get him in trouble, but I almost put on every other song on the album, parentheses, not featuring Weird Al. Because that's true. And it's all true, and then I didn't say anything about this one. I just forgot to write. So, yeah, dude.
So you have Al come into your house to record. How do you prepare for that? Like, do you hide stuff in your house? Do you clean? Like, I can't even imagine what I would do if I heard Al was coming to my place.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely an amount of cleaning that passed all other amounts of cleaning. And, of course, like, save everything, get ready, make sure everything, have waters, have, trying to foresee, But, yeah, I mean, and then that said, by the way, should we start recording at some point? We should probably start doing the show, right? Probably start. I've been, So once he gets here, he's one of those guys that, again, as you know, puts you at ease because he's not in any way pretentious. There is nothing about him that you feel you have to impress him or like he's so not judgmental or anything. So it's just chill. He's just like, oh, hey, like once he's there, you're just, I will say on top of this, because it is in line with the, oh my God, there was a thing for Nerdist that happened that I did the music for. It was a Star Wars Cantina Band song, and I made a Star Wars Cantina Band version of Sweet Caroline, and then what's the name of the song? Coconut Records, West Coast. Anyway, the gag was Lando Calrissian goes up at karaoke night at the cantina and sings a song, and the band plays it and stuff. And Billy D. Williams, actually, because it's Nerdist, actually did it and came here to record and like came inside, sat on a stool, recorded for an hour and a half or whatever. And then also very nice guy, very chill. As he's walking out, as people do, may I use your restroom? Of course, it's right over there. Goes to the restroom. And then I go out to the front room by the door to hold the door and say, thanks so much for coming. Take it easy. Thanks so much for letting me tell people that Lando Calrissian's been in my house. And then as he's walking out of the bathroom, he's walking out, hands freshly washed. I want to make sure everybody knows. As he's walking out, I realize that something bad's about to happen because he has now pulled out his phone and is about to show me pictures of the grandkids we were just talking about. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. He's going to show me. And then I realize he's looking at his phone not at the ground, which has a weirdly invisible one-step difference between the living room.
Oh no!
And Billy D. Williams is, he's an older dude. He's been alive for a while, and he's he walks at least, and he was also tired, so he's walking a little slowly. But I see oh no, and I got up and book it over there. And right around the time that he whoa, steps off and I caught Billy D. Williams in my living room. And almost killed and then saved Billy D. Williams. He'll deny it. No, I have no idea if he'll do it. I'm probably just one more guy that he almost fell off their stairs.
Did you make Lando Calrissian wear the lobster bib?
Oh, I don't think I did. I think that might have been it at that point. Yeah, I might have already. Shoot, yeah, that would have been. You know what? I also don't have pictures of people in the studio. I always get jealous of people who, have the forethought to put their arm around him, get a picture, and like that. Nope, none of this could have happened. For all we know, I am a Dirty John, and this is it's all stuff written on the wall behind you guys. I'm gonna walk out to the car, my limp is gonna straighten, and I'm
Well, I want to ask a few more things about the very last songs I'll ever record, part one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, obviously I'm a big Weird Al fan. I'm a big fan of comedy music in general. This album is one of the greatest comedy albums of all time.
what?
I put my Ethan Allman stamp of approval on it. Every single track is hilarious. It's very
yes.
re-listenable. I love it. So I want
Thanks,
to
man.
get that out of the
Thank you.
way because it's fantastic. If you're a Weird Al collector, you need to have it because Al's on it. If you're a comedy music connoisseur, you need to have it. You need to have multiple copies of it, is what I'm saying. But
Thanks, man.
yes, it's wonderful, and I want you to put out more albums. But we'll get to that. I want to talk about the song Chicken, Monkey, Duck. It is a song that is just 3 words, but it has made a cultural impact on many people, including Katy Perry. And I'm hoping
That's right.
you'll tell us about her love of that song.
Oh yeah. Well, so I want to make sure that I get a solid thank you for saying that about the album. That's really that means a lot. Thank you. So I one night randomly watching TV and somebody goes, I think Katy Perry just called you out or something like that. And I'm like, called me out. Let's go. But I made a shout out of some kind or whatever. I'm like, that's weird. And I go look at her feed and it just says monkey, chicken, duck. Nothing more. And I'm like, yeah, that is weird. That's a little bit specific, but I mean, those aren't my words. I mean, you could say those 3 words if you could have, maybe it's autocorrect, maybe it's a weird butt dial, but she, so she writes that, and then I'm like, who knows? And I might have written some kind of hey, if you like those words, maybe you'd like to hear 180 of them over and over and over. But I didn't do that. But so I hear a little while later from a friend that her friend, how did it happen? So a friend of mine worked on a show that during lunch they would play Chicken Monkey Duck as kind of a gag, as kind of a it's 1 minute long. It's a weird, lighthearted, departure from any stress, hopefully, that was going on with people being, whatever happens on a set of a TV show. So they would play that, and they played it every day. And at one point, one of the actors on that show, who is a friend of Katy Perry's, plays it for Katy Perry. And Katy Perry apparently loved it. And then Katy Perry apparently really gets into it. And that really she really did tweet because of that, because of the song. And then a little while later, I get, again, through the, friend to friend gets to me, hey, my friend is asking if, as a fun kind of silly thing, would you be up for being her gift to Katy at Katy's birthday party? Oh my God. So, yes, of course I will be Katy Perry's gift. So I am to now perform Chicken Monkey Duck, and I have slides, like it's on, you can look at it on YouTube. There is a visual component to it, which means that I now have to memorize it word for word, no longer just freestyle, because it was recorded freestyle. Now I have to know monkey, chicken, chicken, monkey, chicken, duck, duck, chicken, monkey, monkey, chicken, monkey, chicken, chicken, monkey, duck, monkey, duck, chicken, duck, monkey, monkey, duck, duck, chicken, monkey, chicken, monkey, chicken, monkey, duck, because that's what the slides are. And so I went to Katy Perry's birthday on November 11th, 2011. It was 11/11/11, and it was at some random cool place, and there was a mechanical bull, and there was a cake that was bigger than me, and all this stuff. And then in the middle of it, they're just all right, now, or her friend goes up and said hey, Katie, I thought this would be kind of fun. Here's, and I don't know if she said my name because it wouldn't matter to anybody, but I came out and performed it, and almost everybody's like, wait, what? But Katie, dressed up like a cowgirl, is shooting her guns into the air like Yosemite Sam, and woohoo! So weird. And then and I did it, and then and I think I put at the time she was dating, I think
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, thank you. She was dating him, and he was there, and I stood next to him at one point and didn't say anything to him because at the time I didn't really know who he was. And now I'm like, oh, I think he's great, and I really wish I could have said, here's my album.
Right.
But I wish I could have just said, dude, you're great. But when it was done, went over, at the end of it, I put a Happy Birthday Katie slide at the end of it with I think her kissing a chimp, because that picture was online somewhere. So I thought, oh, this is appropriate. Yeah. There's a monkey and her. And then, I was like, why did I bring up Russell Brand? Because there was also a picture I almost used of Russell Brand with a monkey, but then I opted for the one with Katie. Anyway, went over, talked to her, and she was really, really nice and having fun and silly, and then everything went back to normal, which is weird when that happens. When you cross paths with somebody who's in a whole different lane of life, and then everything just kind of goes back to and then that night, watched Law and Order, and kind of probably ate too many Nutter Butters, and then everything goes back to normal.
It's so insane.
Yeah, it's really, you think that crossing paths, something huge is going to happen.
Right.
And then nothing happens. Not that I wouldn't have done it just for the fun of it, but you do kind of I was psyched, psyched up in a oh my God, I don't know what this is going to be. I looked up, what are her birthday parties like? I mean, I imagine these are, and all of the, I Googled it, and, the last 2 or 3 were who's of, there's all these producers and all these stars and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm thinking, I'm about to go perform the dumbest song in the history of music for, for Dr. Dre, all these people. And, but in the end, this was a more family and friends party. So it was not the crazy tons of people that, but that said, I also was not the only person feeling that, because the cake guys off to the side, who had a 9-layer cake that somebody lives in now, I hope, because it was really good, that they were you could hear them talk, they were both holding one side of the cake, one on one side, one on the other, and it's really big and really heavy. And I've never seen 2 people more nervous about carrying out a cake, because they were like, all right, is everybody ready for the cake? Ready? And they were like, because can you imagine if they drop the cake at Katie's birthday? This is, like me, a really big deal. So I think everybody's probably oh, man. So, yeah. So that song, yeah. Weird.
It's so incredible.
It's gone places.
Yeah. So after the very last songs I will ever record, part 1 came out in 2010, we had to wait a whole 8 years to get another album out of you, and that was, of course, Songs to Sing at Children.
That's right. I had to wait for the kids to get old enough to listen to it. That makes no sense, because there were kids in 2012, but they have to wait.
That's right.
I'm so slow. I wish that I was the guy that makes an album a year or one of those, but I am definitely not, because it just, upon finding out that I really like doing songs that are kid friendly or like that have kids in mind, I'll say, because it's not
Right.
necessarily just for kids, because I like to hear whenever I can people say that they either don't have kids or that when their kids aren't around that this is that they still like songs off of it.
I will say that.
Thank you. But anyway, you don't have to have kids around, by the way. If anybody of your listeners are like, oh, I'm going to take this album, I'm going to go to a playground where I don't have a kid and just listen to it. You don't have to do that. In fact, that'd be weird if you're at a playground and don't have any of the kids there. But no, the irony is that it took having kids and, singing songs to or at or with them to realize like, oh, this is really fun and it's very freeing. And I was already like, my personal sensibility is always very silly, as Weird Al devotees and those of us who are from the school of Weird Al and Dr. Demento. He doesn't obviously have to be. I love dirty humor and dirty jokes and songs and stuff. Great, fine, but and clearly, having done Hard and Phirm, there are a lot of things that are not in this voice. But when it came time to do my own stuff. Like even that first album is still rated PG at most. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this was a very like, oh, I think I'm just gonna totally go with the like G, rated G, rated PG, or like Muppet kind of, Al kind of, just because I'm not cool and I'm not going to try to be Lonely Island, and it's just more fun to just be weird. So, yeah. That was there was one more thing I was going to say, but I can't remember. All right, well, bye guys.
Like you mentioned earlier, I am very thoughtfully thanked on the album, but you also thank Weird Al on the album.
Of course. Oh yeah, I think I always have to thank Weird Al for everything. Always. Actually, I did submit these songs to sing at children for a Grammy with the high hopes of winning the Grammy. But it got in as far as it could be voted on to be nominated. It could be one of the nominees. Mm-hmm. And it did not become one of the nominees. But what it did, and I hope he doesn't, he sent this out to a fair amount of people, so maybe more meaningful than a Grammy. And I mean that because a Grammy is awesome. That's really, really cool. But what's even cooler is when Al personally said, hey, in a right and fair world, this should win the Grammy. And I was like, dude, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you. And then wrote an email, like sent out an email to people, like his friends and like industry, associates and all that kind of stuff. And on that email, talks about the Grammys are coming up. Here are, a couple things that he has, like he has the box set.
Right.
Who I think, Dave, you know something about the box set, right? Were you were involved in the box set, or who was involved in the box set with that? Jackie?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Dave's wife did take pictures that ended up in the box set.
Oh, nice. There you go. So that he mentions that's up, but then he also says, and for comedy album, I really think everybody needs to hear Patton Oswalt's, and for the kids' music album, please nominate Mike Phirman's Songs You Can Children. This just went out to friends, like to everybody. The only thing, and I still like that. So that email and that kind of support from somebody that you think that highly of, obviously, is the best. It's just, yeah.
Do you think any part of that came from Al reading the special thanks and seeing my name in there?
Probably, actually, probably. He's always every now and then I'll just get a text. He'll be like, "What's up with Ethan?" I'm like, I don't know. I'll check on him. He changed his number again. I'm like, he probably did. He probably, Ethan. He's like, Ethan's kind of a free spirit.
Now, I have to say, on Songs to Sing at Children, like you said, people say, and you like to hear it, I do not have kids, and I love the album, not just because I'm thanked on it, not just because Alice thanked on it, not just because it has Chicken Monkey Duck on it, but it is another amazing album. I almost want to have a kid just so they can hear this wonderful album. And I think I emailed you at the time, but the song In Your Biz, there's this one audio gag in there that honestly I think is the best comedy music gag I've ever heard on any song. So
Really?
I really have to.
Which is it?
On In Your Biz, of course, the leaf blower bit. If for no other reason, go and check out that album just for that song because it's just so fantastic.
The what? Turn that off. That.
Yes.
Nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I love that.
I actually made a video to that. I Instagram at some point got to know me and now shows me things that it thinks I'm into. And it's right. Like, it showed me this thing of like, would you like to make cartoons in 5 minutes with our, like Toonly, it's called. And I was like, I would like to make a cartoon in 5 minutes. Sure. So, and it's only introductory. Like, the price is normally $5,000, but tomorrow or today, it's only $49. I was like, oh, that's a really good deal. I think I'll do that. So I got it. By the way, it's still $49. Always. But, and also, when you buy it, they're like, awesome, welcome to the family. Now, if you want to get all of the content that really should come with it, it's $150. Like, come on. So, but I got it, and I made a video for In Your Biz that is one that I interact with for a live show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I since we're not gathering in live shows right now, it's just sitting here and I've never released it, and I really want to I don't know how. Maybe I should just make a silly little YouTube video. I have a lot of like we were talking about why it takes so long to record stuff, and the irony being that in having kids and realizing like, oh, this is fun. The having of kids takes all the time away from recording the songs about that. So yeah, that's it takes a lot of time, but it's a good time. And then so it takes a long time, and I mean to make a lot of things. One of which is another album, but I do have more stuff coming sometime.
Awesome. I hope to hear more kids friendly music. I hope to hear more not kid friendly music. I just keep pumping it out.
Some kid hating music.
Yeah.
I do, by the way, am very careful, and I there's always a little bit of a risk with something like Songs to Sing at Children and songs like You've Got What It Takes to Be a Kid, because that's my sense of humor with my kids, of like calling attention to them being kids,
right.
And like hopefully they're not like, hey jerk, like I'm I'm only 5, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be using me like this. Like, I'm not using that up, but it's just the way, and I have a series of interstitials that I'm sending in because there's a lot of trying to fill time at home with kids. All of the parents are going through this. Maybe not all. Maybe some parents have, I don't know where their kids could go, but big houses with and they could like section off a section to be like, all right, from now on, that's a different neighborhood. But ours is not big enough for that, and most people's aren't. But I am making a series that is called What Can I Do?, which is about, like it's a couple different scenarios where I'm, let's say I'm doing this. I'm on a podcast right now. My door's locked, by the way, so that this doesn't happen in real life. But every now and then, a door will not be locked. And then right in the middle of something important, like, all right, I think I know what we can do to save this company. You guys trust me. It's going to sound crazy. But if we just, Dad, no, not now. Not now. Dad, I'm bored. No. What can I, don't say it. What can I know? What can I do? What can I do? Like, like, if I hear what can I do one more time. So this is a whole series, like whenever they are about to like, what can I? It goes into, How are you gonna ask me what can I do? I can tell you're gonna ask me what can I do. What you're gonna do is ask me what you can do. Here comes another. What can I do? And then it's a thing of like, okay, how about this? And then it's an idea of like something you can do to occupy your kid. And then, so.
Oh, that's so great.
But I'm always like, I hope it doesn't like, hey, you sound like you're really angry at your kids and like you hate having to win that. I'm like, no, it's just, it's the silly times that they. I actually had a song that was almost going to go on the very last songs I will ever record part 1, and at the like day before or 2 days before I was about to send it in, I pulled it because I got really nervous about the idea of it being misconstrued, and it's a sensitive topic. Like I basically, do you know that song "Our God is an Awesome God"? You ever heard that? It's like, our God is an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. You ever heard that?
Now I have.
And now you're paying for it because that's going to cost you some royalties. No. It's a very nice song. It's a really pretty cool song. It's a pretty, cool song. It's not a pretty cool song. I'm not passing judgment. It is a cool song. It's very nice. But I, at one point, had the idea of like, it'd be kind of funny is basically your God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Your God is an awesome God. But my God is an awful God. He spaces out in church. He hates his job because my God is an awful God. Right? So it's all just like, my God is a complete idiot. Like, he just can't handle, like, he takes advice from Dr. Phil. He's always, was it? Oh, God, I can't remember how many, he's always, anyway, I have this song totally done. And, he's always saying sorry because he's always knocking over something. Tells all his angels that they look a little fat. Giggles when he hears the words, the second coming. My God is an awful God. Oh my God, your God is an awesome God. He reigns. So it's not supposed to be like religion. It's just like, what if my God is like Homer Simpson and he's an elf.
Right.
But that is a religious song, and that's sensitive. And also, I went to go see, all right, well, I'll ask the person who made it, Al style, like I don't want to upset anybody at all. So that is not, me either. So I went to go see if I could, explain. And if he didn't go for it, be like, okay, well, and he died. So I can't. And at that point, now it feels really wrong that like I'm making a joke based on a song about a guy. So it all just felt like, you know what? Don't do it, because then I'm gonna this way I can sleep. Like I don't have to worry about it. I don't think there are any parodies on it. I can just relax. But anyway, so that song's just sitting on the computer now, and like, yeah. And then at the very end, God's comes like I'm typing the song. There's like lightning and thunder. I'm like, oh my God, what? And he goes, I heard that. I'm like, what? Come on. He's like, I heard that song you just sang. In big deep voice, I heard that song you just sang about me being awful. I'm like, come on. It's true though, right? I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. And he's like, hey, listen, if you wanted to, and he's like, his voice is going from super deep and profound to like chipmunky back and forth. He's like, dang it, hang on. I'm like, hey, can you? And he's like, sorry, my voice thing is messed. Hang on. I'm like, dude, can you? He's, I'm gonna have to call you back. Okay. I'm like, yeah, call me back. Okay. Bye. Like, oh my God.
I want to hear that so bad.
I'll send that song to you guys so you can hear it.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you so much.
But then don't put it out.
Okay.
Until I'm dead, and then I'm going to put a little tiny compartment in my tombstone, and for anybody who stands there for an hour, the little compartment will open up if they wait for it.
And it will be a floppy disk with this song on it.
That's right. And then there'll be a clue to another tombstone that has a floppy drive, and then that one leads to, and it's one big escape room cemetery.
To hear this song.
Yeah. And the very end, you get to a mausoleum and you open the door, and I'm there. I didn't even die. I'm eccentric. I finally got rich, and I'm eccentric, and I only wear swimsuits now because I don't have to wear pants.
So, Mike, what can you tell us about Do They Know It's Christmas from the comedy Death Ray Xmas Nativity Choir?
What can I tell you about that? What can I legally tell you about that? That was the first where a lot of people came through the studio, and we recorded this big, crazy Do They Know It's Christmas comedian thing, and we filmed everybody. And if I'm not mistaken, is that the one... I'm on it with Chris, and I think Chris punches me in the face or hits me with a guitar or something. But Al's on that as well, and that was the first time Al came to the studio.
So was that before Street Meet or after? So it was after Street Meet. No, before Street Meet.
I think
It was before Street Meet. It was 2009, yeah.
Yeah, that's before. Oh, you're right. So, yeah, he has been here. But you know what? For that, everybody came in through the gate. Nobody came inside. So, no. But but that, actually, you're right. That was before that. So none of that actually happened. I made all that up. No. But no, that was really fun. That, and then we did another one the next year. I think we did a Lady Christmas Marmalade, and We Are the World. So a whole bunch of comedians, like it's a who's who of local comedians that were around that day. People like Brett Gelman and John Daly did their, they used to have an act called Cracked Out, which was a rapping outfit. And then John Daly came back in with a sax and plays a surprisingly really good sax. So I say surprisingly only because you think somebody who's really funny doesn't take things seriously enough to like really learn an instrument like that, and he's really good.
So, Mike, I want to ask you a little bit about your appearance on At Midnight with Al and Mamrie Hart.
Yes.
How did it come that you got to be on the same episode with Al? Was that planned at all?
I actually don't know if that, it might have been, because I think they were good about thinking out who would be good with each other. And so I think knowing that Chris and I, are obviously fans of Al's, that would make for a hopefully very positive experience. And so, yeah, but I think I found out that day of he's going to be like, oh my God, we're going to be on with Al. That's awesome. And while we were there, I don't know if they showed it, but we ended up doing a, Chris started in on maybe that's right, Al, you lost. Because I think maybe he did win, maybe he did lose. And he's and then we both launched into it. Let me tell you what you didn't win. Encyclopedia Britannica, a case of turtle wax, and a year's supply of only the San Francisco treat. But that's not all. You also made yourself look like a jerk in front of, and to do that on a game show with Al right there, a pretty solid moment. We could look over at each other and be like, "Hey, dude, hey, check it out! Look what we're doing." So, yeah, that was fun.
Now, you also, with Chris, you guys performed Yoda at Sketchfest along with Jonah Ray, Garfunkel and Oates, and Al.
Yes.
Was that an impromptu thing, or was that planned?
That was planned insofar as he was receiving, it was a tribute, and it was, hey, if you would want to play, Chris is going to, I think, is that how it went? Chris conducted an interview, and then we came out at the end and did Yoda. Although at the very top of the show, I'm trying to remember how it all went down. All I remember is somebody died. Somebody got shot, and then no, I'm kidding. That didn't happen. It was very nice, calm, peaceful. But we did do. We had a song. We did something, and then I think I just remember Al coming out or down the aisle, and for the rehearsal, we were like, okay, so we're gonna do Yoda, which I think he knew about ahead of time, He's like, great. And then I started playing it and, getting into it. And he was like, is that the key it's in? And I was like, I hope so. I mean, I hope I'm not messing this up. But I was like, I think so. I mean, I think that's the. And then we had a video, that we pulled, had the video going behind, and Garfunkel and Oates. They did like a surgeon. That's what it was. So that's what it was. We started with like a surgeon, and then Yoda was after that. So Garfunkel and Oates came out dressed in scrubs and sang a verse from Like a Surgeon. And so doing that, he was like, is that the key it's in? And I was like, I hope so. And then, and I was concerned, like, I hope I'm not picking a key that's too high and now it's going to stress him out, or be like, I can't, or some kind of like, I don't sing that high anymore or something like that. And you know what happened? Nothing. He was fine. He can belt out. He sang it perfectly. It was awesome. Like I was, oh my God, thank you. Because I don't think he was actually worried. He was just asking, like, is that the right? And then, yeah, he just he can hit everything. If you've gone to any of his concerts, like the Ill-Conceived, where he's doing like covers at the end and stuff, like you heard him, he can belt and hit every note he's ever sang. And so he came out and destroyed. And then I got to play Yoda, like next to him, and again, like a ridiculous, like, dude, this is what happens when you do your homework and you move a couple miles away from Weird Al and you perform next to where he lives for a couple of years. And pray.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, no, that was really, really, really fun.
Now, also with Chris, you made an appearance during Al's, he had this series on the Nerdist YouTube channel called Face to Face with Weird Al Yankovic, and there was an episode where Al's interviewing, in quotes, interviewing William H. Macy, and Al goes in to sing Avocado, and you and Chris pop up and back up Al on singing.
Yes. Worst experience of my life. The worst day of my life. No, I'm kidding. No, it was great. It was really like, it was really like, for my part in it, I really didn't have to do very much. I just kind of like showed up and his show's going and we had little Hard and Phirm t-shirts and stuff. And, we got there and then I can't remember what the lyrics were, but it was, I think, to the tune of Desperado.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then, we did 3-part harmony and worked it out backstage and then came out and did it. And I don't know why it always feels like it's one of those things where no matter if it ever happens again, like that kind of thing, it will still feel like the first time because there's just like, it's just such a big deal to sing next to him, and like to get to do that it feels like it hasn't happened yet. And even if now I guess I've, been around like 3 or 4 times when he's singing and it still feels like, oh my God, this is insane. And especially to do like, we're doing a parody. Like this is we're singing a backup for a parody. That's crazy. So yeah, that was, I don't know if I've seen that. That was like a couple of years ago. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a song that, it never was really officially released, and now you are part of the quote-unquote official release of that song. So that's
right.
You're so much Weird Al history that you've made.
Did you guys read the article just recently?
Yes, yeah, in the New York Times Magazine. It's fantastic.
Man, what a great article that was.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I actually didn't know a lot of that stuff. Like I think I know Al pretty well. I mean, like I know his, like his work and his history, but I didn't know a lot of that stuff. And also, like I say, when he came here to record, he's got a obviously amazing work ethic, and definitely does not phone a thing in.
Right.
But I didn't know his method of writing was that, like, think out every possible, all the rhymes and work each one in and compare and do it fast because he is prolific, obviously. And that was really, really neat to see, like, to hear that that's how he does it. Because, there are times when I feel like I'm overthinking things, and it's good to know that, like, you know what though, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're
Right.
going through and picking out, just the right. It's, one of my favorite movies is 2001, and Stanley Kubrick is one of my favorite directors, and he is notorious for doing 40 takes of something, and just to get that one weird moment that's just weirdly magical and feels right. It probably didn't do me any good to read that. It probably is going to mess up. If I was making any strides with my OCD, I probably just fell backwards quite a few steps. By the way, do you want to hear the only knock-knock joke I've ever written?
Yes.
Yes.
Ready? Here we go. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Stanley
Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Stanley
Who?
Kubrick who?
No, let's do that again. Knock, knock.
I'm trying to match up with Dave.
Oh, geez, all right. We might have to re-record this later.
Yeah.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley
Kubrick. Who?
Now let's do it again. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
That's the joke. That's it. I'll never stop saying. Let's do it again.
You got me.
Fell for it. So, Mike, I understand that you also did an interview with Al.
Yes. Yeah. I was very fortunate enough to get to go in and host a show for SiriusXM, the channel 78 Kids Place Live, which I love because, one, they play my music. But more importantly, it's great because they are people like me who grew up loving, like a lot of musicians on there, love Weird Al and love comedy music and have kids and are just making what is basically our expression of comedy music with kids, involved.
Right.
So yeah, Channel 78, if you have kids, is a really fun channel for comedy music that is kid friendly. And one of the shows, the guy, Jack Phirman, who has a great show that goes from 2 to 5 every day, had a sabbatical and went off to get it looked at. No, I don't know. I don't know what a sabbatical is. But he took off for 6 weeks to take a break. He's been doing it, I think, literally every week for like years. So they came to me because they've played me a bunch, and I've gone in and done a couple interviews and goofed around with them a bit. And they were like, "Would you like to host his show for the couple weeks while he's gone?" Like, absolutely, I'll go down and host his show. So I would go down to the SiriusXM station and in town, the satellite, and then broadcast playing music, kids music, for 3 hours. And on the last day, like, one of the things that we were building up towards and putting together was, what if I could get Al in here and have like an hour-long interview, like, goof around. And so we set it up as we were interviewing candidates for the April Fool, the official April Fool. And so he was like the first, and we're hoping, if you play your cards right and answer all the questions right, you could be the official Kids Place Live April Fool. And again, he came in and was the greatest, most fun, like, easy going, ahead of time, like, it's an hour-long interview. And it was basically, I wrote all these questions out and told him, like, hey, these are just going to be like really silly, dumb questions. And if you either don't feel like answering them, or, it was going to be live to tape so that we could, if anything goes horribly wrong, because as you know, Al has Tourette's and will just start swearing nonstop. I mean, I learned every bad word I know from Weird Al. That's why he doesn't do live events. He won't do live events because every concert is a pre-recorded hologram. A pre-recorded allogram. But he was like, yeah, okay, cool. And it was just like, he is, again, so he's just a really genuinely funny, fun guy. So any question, and they were all questions that were questions like, what would you do if, like, those kind of things. We're just what would you do if you learned how to fish, but at the exact same time, a fish learned how to Weird Al? And then we just sit and be dumb, like just joke around, and he had great answers for everything, and so we had this like hour-long super goofy thing.
I want to ask you something else, if you'll allow me to.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about how this has been going. I'm kidding. Yeah, of course.
Mike, I understand that you grew up in San Luis Obispo, and to any Al fan, of course, we know that is where Al went to college, and he, of course, has the song Take Me Down. Can you tell me about San Luis Obispo, and was Al a legend when you're growing up there, just due to that song? I'd love to hear all about it.
Yes, Al is a local legend, and at Cal Poly, where he recorded My Bologna, they have a plaque where he and he went through the dorms a while ago. A while ago when I was there. That was my first concert of his, by the way, was at like a bar in San Luis Obispo, like when I was a little kid, like 13 or something like that. And I remember just sitting on the ground in some bar, and not like a dive bar, not like a chicken wire, like messy bar, but like a club, like not an arena. And it was like him, the band, and two ladies dressed like potatoes, and well attended. It wasn't, he was awesome. It wasn't like sad. It was great. But yeah, no, I know that he was the big like KCPR, which was the local radio station, like that's where like, oh my God, that's like Weird Al started the KCPR. He was a DJ there or something like that. But I never could get my hands on the original, like I don't know even where Take Me Down is. I literally feel pride being from the place where he went to school. So yeah. And apparently he went back to the dorms years later and just like walked through and like, hey, has any mail come for me? Nope. To like the people living in his room. Really cool.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, I do want to ask you about, there's this really great podcast that you launched last year. It's called Bandtastic, and it is fantastic.
Thank you.
Very entertaining. There's only a couple episodes, but I highly recommend it to anyone who likes listening to things. And if they're listening to us talk right now, we have to imagine they like listening to things.
I would hope so. Yeah, or they are incapacitated and in need of help, in which case, awkward, because we can't do anything. Sorry, dude. But we can make the last couple minutes feel real weird, maybe? I don't know. No, you want to go out on listening to me talk about San Luis Obispo. But that's Drennan Davis, who's a really funny music guy. If you ever get a chance to watch him perform, he is phenomenal. He's really, really funny, and does some really bizarre. He has a thing called Imaginary Radio, and does some weird puppet kind of characters. One of whom is called Randy, who is featured in that podcast. Yeah. And Randy he's basically a robot and an artificial intelligence for people who are afraid of artificial intelligence. So he's designed to make you feel like the future is still going to be okay, because he's really, really dumb. So, and in the podcast, he's the band's manager. So he's just a fool. But so that series was meant to be, it went back and forth on, we're going to do, 10 episodes. We're going to do the first season, and then we'll see, go from there. And then it turned into, they want a pilot. We're like, okay, we'll do like a pilot. We'll do like a little, 5-10 minute thing. And they're like, hey, they want a 35-minute pilot. Like, wait, what? That's a really long pilot for once you kind of know if you like it. Like,
right.
It's like 10 minutes in. Like, all right, well, I guess they're paying us in Romanian cash, so you know how hard that is to get. I don't even know what Romanian cash is now. It might be euros. But so they so we did what is basically a 35-40 minute pilot, and then they were like, we're gonna release the pilot as episodes. And we were like, come on, now we're right back to this should have been 5 episodes. So we just chopped up. I joke, but they were nice about it. Everybody's like it's something like this. We're all kind of like, what would be better? What would be great? But anyway, we went back and cut up the pilot into what is now the series of 5 episodes, and each episode is a planet that we acquire another member of the band.
I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and there's
thanks, buddy.
Adam Sandbot. I can't remember.
Oh, it's Adam Sampler.
Adam Sampler.
They're at a thing. That was a Drennan Davis joke. They're at a thing where a DJ who they want to recruit is being held captive, and they are going to take him from this thing. But the party that he's at, it's really sad because this party is going off, and it's going to be such a shame that he's leaving to go join this band. So he quickly builds a sampler, like a robotic sampler called Adam Sampler, and all it does, it just does like. And it like slays, and then that party just goes on for years and years and years. It's basically becomes the galaxy's most beloved entertainer of all time.
Adam Sampler is so great. Mike, there's so much that we have to check out. So we can check out Kids Place Live. We can listen for your music there. We can get Songs to Sing at Children. We can get The Very Last Songs I'll Ever Record Part 1. We can check out Bandtastic. We can go to your website, MikePhirman.com, and I'm sure that you're working on more stuff eventually that we will be able to hear.
Yes. Hopefully, yes. I'm working on something, but like Prince, I'm going to bury it in my vault. And then 100 years from now, and then each one will be again delivered through my tombstone if you wait for it. But I am actually I am putting together a series of songs that are all related to, again, kids invited, not required. But if you are familiar with the concept of activity books, this will be a series of songs that are all based on activity books.
Very cool.
Mostly literally because I do like saying activity books. That's the impetus of it. That's where it all started. It was like, hey, you guys got your activity books? I'm going to do something about that. So. Well, thanks for having me on. You guys, thank you so much for all the support and promotion and the interest. It really feels good and helps.
Fantastic. Well, we loved having you on. And we're definitely going to have to bring you back because we really need to hear about your fandom of Al, your favorite album, all that stuff. But we'll have to save that for another day.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
It was so much fun to get to talk to Mike again. I have not spoken to Mike since the Weird Al Star Fund benefit show back in 2006. So in another 14 years, I'm looking forward to talking to Mike again.
And we are so excited. Mike sent us some extra stuff. And be sure to watch for some cool content that didn't make the interview over on our Patreon page. We'll have some secret episodes. Maybe we'll have some clips available for you guys. He sent us some really cool stuff and talked about some really cool stuff that just didn't make it into the interview. So watch for those. They are a blast.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get some of that unique, cool content out there because it is a blast, and Mike is a wonderful person, and he sent us some great stuff. So you definitely want to head on over to patreon.com/2000inch, sign up so you can hear all that amazing content. Each week we bring you this podcast absolutely free, thanks to sponsors like Don Ferlazzo Allstate and Burrito, and all of our amazing Patreon supporters like Jeff, Trevor, and so many more.
Patreon helps us pay the bills and ensures that we can continue doing what we love, and that's making fun, family-friendly, entertaining Weird Al podcasts just for you.
Please join us in thanking all of our supporters over on patreon.com/2000inch for making this podcast possible. And please consider joining our Patreon family for as little as $1 per month.
Another way to support the podcast is by purchasing merchandise from the official Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast shop. Head over now to shop.2000inch.com for amazing Gill and Chill merchandise. You can get our logo on a tote bag. You can get a coffee mug. All those great items and more. Head over to shop.2000inch.com.
Thanks once again to Mike Phirman and all of our listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters, and sponsors. And thanks to everyone who follows us at 2000inch on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Be sure to join our Facebook group by heading to group.2000inch.com if you've not already. And be sure to tag Fun Al or podcast-related posts on social media using hashtag 2000inch and hashtag Gill and Chill.
You can find us online at weirdalpodcast.com or 2000inch.com, and make sure you share our posts, tell your friends about the podcast, and we love it when you leave us messages to play on the air at our 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347 Spatula.
Subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, or the podcast app of your choice. That way you don't miss a single episode the second it drops.
I so much cannot wait to hear those exclusive secret episodes with Mike Phirman over on our Patreon page. You know, Frank sent me one of them in advance, and in one of them he talks all about audio compressors. You know, I can't wait to hear what he says about that.
Wow, what an awesome, interesting topic. I'm personally excited for the other secret episode where he shares exclusive clips from his long-lost interview with Weird Al Yankovic.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 57.
How did you do it before?
Oh, I just